Okay, so I know a few people, I don't want to wait too long or anything, but a few people in the Discord already said a few questions. So I'll just start with those. And as I talk about all this, people can just ask anything they're interested about, personal thoughts about trading or just life in general. Honestly, anything in your headspace that you just want to learn more about or just let off basically. Um, I know a lot of people today were asking about risk management and just the overall picture of like how do you avoid not trading when the whole market is just stagnant and not making any like probable moves in your favor to make money overall. And I guess I'm gonna just start with this and see how many people are actually like interested to hear more about this, how I do it, and just how I limit my emotions to the point where it's just non-existent anymore. Where I'm literally just trading a chart and not even focused on the results, whether it's losing money or making money. I'm just focused on the overall picture of like my risk is minimal, my reward is a lot higher, and that way when I trade, I'm not emotional if I end up losing or I'm red on the trade. I'm basically sizing for zero almost every time that I make an actual entry point. I don't like to have the
Yeah.
yeah. Someone says something. But yeah, I'm not focused on the overall picture anymore with money or finances. It's more so just the probability with entering with low risk and high reward. And I know today in this entire week, a lot of people have had this issue just like controlling themselves to not pull the trigger on a move that's already ran a certain amount of points. And they're like tied into the fact of like, if I don't take this trade, I'm going to miss out on like the bigger move that's already happened. And I think the biggest thing that I do when I avoid these kind of things, I just want to make sure that I don't chase what I already missed out on. I mean, there's a lot of things that people want to like get in and try and make money. But at the end of the day, it's just the main focal point of like, what are you really missing out on if you want to trade every day for like the rest of your life or like the rest of the year? You're not trying to make that life changing trade just like one day in and out. Cause just like I tell people, the money you make quick, you're going to lose it even quicker. That's the biggest thing a lot of people just can't understand, I feel like. And if anyone just has something, I know someone mentioned they want me to cover a topic about taxes, but that's one thing that we're not going to do. So if you have questions about taxes with money made through trading at the end of the year for when you file, you should reach out to an actual registered professional when you do this that's licensed. I don't really want to talk about stuff like that just for legal issues. But yeah, if anyone, I know I saw Coco come in. If anyone has any thoughts or questions about this week so far, how they've been dealing with trades, if they feel like they've missed moves that they should have made money on. Just any thoughts that you guys have. If not, I can
Hell
just
of a guy, man.
yeah, I appreciate it, Coco. But yeah, I'll just if I need to, I'll just keep venting and ranting just with stuff I've seen in the chat this week, people talking about stuff. But I want to get to other people that may have questions or just thoughts about this week or just in general with trading since the day they started to where they are now. I got a decent amount of knowledge, so any questions, let me hear it. And we'll see if anyone has anything. So I don't think we're going to. So I know I'll just talk about the last lesson. Oh, here we go. What do you think of the whole bank scenario going on with the credit Swiss news? So I actually just heard about that today with some bots I have in a Discord that let me know of updates the minute they come out, which the major news stations in the US won't cover right away. So I kind of get news before it actually reaches the news stations or even just the market in general. Personally, I've been hearing a lot of news just from family that have like very good insight on the overall market. Just the fact that a lot of banks, not even just the US, but like the global economy, are honestly on like their breaking point at this like factor in the year, just with the whole interest rates rising, the whole Fed's trying to not raise rates right away to keep it low. So we feel like everything's going to be fine. There's a lot of insecurity out there right now that a lot of people just aren't noticing until it's too late. So I know like all personal opinion. I say this a lot almost in every single class that I have. It's all personal based when I talk because I don't like speaking on hope or emotions. It's just how I feel and people can take it as they want. If the market doesn't push like it should these next few days before we have the FOMC meeting, which is this upcoming Wednesday, there could be a huge crisis with banks that are scrambling to get out of these equities and these funds that they can't afford to lose right now. So I'm a huge not, I don't want to say believer, but just the fact that the market almost has to push before they sell out of all these equities that they have, just so they don't lose the amount of money they would if we just basically flush these next few days into this next week. I know a lot of banks are, I mean, it's a struggle right now. Credit rates are high. Consumer debt is almost at an all-time high. Our generation is very bad with the idea of paying off debt. So those interest rates just keep rising. They're going to owe more than they're paying off. Eventually, it's going to hit a tipping point. And that's just how I personally feel about all this. It's just a matter of time with how long will it take for the hedge funds and all these market makers to really put this effort in to make the market move the way that they want it to. I mean, everything's priced in. Like all these people with like the big money, the hedge funds, the banks, they all know what's going to happen years down the road. This isn't like new to them like it is for us when we just hear about it the day of. And while other people are asking questions, the person that asked that question about the bank scenario, I mean, how do you feel about it? Like, do you think banks are in like that deep of trouble, or is it more so just like news is trying to blow this out of proportion to scare us as people? Because I know a lot of different people have like their own perspective on this whole situation, and there may not even be a right answer. It's all just how you personally feel about it. Say if not many people have questions, I'll just start talking about risk management.
You take any trades today, man?
Yeah, Coco, I did. I took a trade overnight with futures on SPX contracts. Not going to say how much I made, but I hit green. And then end of the day, I called a play before market close. The whole day I just sat there because I knew there wasn't much volume. It wasn't moving in the way I wanted it to. It was zoning literally all day, just up, down, up, down. Premiums weren't moving. I didn't want to risk any money since I already made profit before market even opened. So I kind of was just preserving myself until the end of the day and just enjoying time with where I'm at right now. Trying to stay busy, not sit in front of my computer or my phone and just be tempted to make a trade that doesn't have to happen, which a lot of people have issues with. How about you, Coco? You have any trades?
Yeah, man, but I sold too soon, man.
Someone just typed something. Let me read this out loud. So the person that asked the question about the bank scenario said, I'm not sure, honestly, your thesis on it makes sense 100%. I haven't really been around the market in banks before, especially not during the '08 crisis, obviously, if no one else knows about that. So I'm not super informed, but overall, I think we are kind of effed. I do think we need to push higher in order to push down the potential even new lows, but I don't know. So like with what you're saying, it's 100% true. And like what I say makes sense, but sometimes what makes sense isn't the actual correct answer. And that's one thing that like stocks is the biggest example of that. One thing that's right is obviously seeming right, but is it really going to happen to make the market do what needs to happen? Money talks, and that's the biggest thing people can't realize. And I do believe, I mean, I'm a huge advocate. I don't think we've seen all-time lows in the past 3 years on SPY yet or S&P. I think we're going to go lower. I don't know how much lower. We may not go any lower, but it's hard to believe that we've hit a point of like solidness in the economy that we're not going to get at a lower staging point with where we're currently already at. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe. I mean, even with the bank crisis coming out, obviously the hedge funds and the banks knew this was going to happen months, if not a year before it was already like intact. I mean, they can track interest rates going up, the credit consumer debt. They know all this ahead of time. They can calculate what's going to happen. And I think they're just preparing for the next leg of what's going to come, whether it's upside or downside. I mean, they know everything that we wish we knew. That's just how it is. Anyone else have any question, any personal questions, risk management? You feel like you're not doing good because of emotions. This is literally your time to ask anything you'd like. And if not, just like name a topic, like just say something that you want to hear more about. I'm here as long as you want me to for the next hour. And if I need to cut this early, I will, but I just want to help whoever needs this.
Go over emotions.
Yeah, I mean, use this, yeah, emotions. Someone just said, how do you stay disciplined? So the whole idea with trading, if you're not disciplined in life, you're not going to be able to be disciplined with trading. That's just like the biggest fact you can think of. Like if you are one of those people that's like, I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to go twice a week, one time a week, one time a month, and you stop doing that, how do you expect yourself to manage money, which is one of the biggest emotional roller coasters in life right now for almost anybody? Like money is the biggest emotional roller coaster that you'll have outside of family and just like personal connections with people. the way that I try and stay disciplined, I try to avoid looking at money as like a status quo, and more so like for me to go on this journey and pursue what I want to do. If I stick to what I have with habits, my journaling, and just cutting emotions out the picture, discipline stays there, and I don't have to worry about the results of what comes with what I do. Thanks for the call out on XLE earlier. Was slammed at work with Manager Grant. Yeah, definitely, bro. I know. I think you were the one that mentioned that in charting on Sunday, but I saw XLE hit the support. That's why I put that in the chat, and luckily you saw that and made some money out of it. I mean, 10%, bro. That's 10% a day for a whole year. You'd be surprised what that does for you. A lot of people look at that and laugh, but they're gonna chase those 100% and get whacked one trade, and they're back to where they started a week ago. So just keep those small gains up. I promise you, it's gonna get you somewhere big that you may not see right now. But yeah, like discipline, like I'm like, it's the hardest thing to do. If you can't eat right and you say you're gonna eat right to lose weight and you don't do that, you're not disciplined. Like it's just the simple stuff. Going on a walk every morning, waking up at this time. Your body doesn't want to do it. Your mind doesn't want you to do stuff because it's too easy. Like it makes you better, and the mind doesn't want that. Trading is the same way. Like you know not to trade, but inside there's that emotion saying like just one more is not going to hurt, or like maybe I should stay here just in case something happens. You don't have to sit there all day. Like if you're up $200 on the day, no matter how big your account is, you're up $200. You're trading wherever you're at, whether you're at work, you're at home, you're with your significant other, you're watching your kids. You made $200 being around people that you don't deserve that $200 for. Like you're there making money for the reason you're making the money, whether it's your family, whatever it is. How do you pick your entries? What's your confirmation to enter a trade? So picking entries, I talk about this a lot in the Sunday night charting sessions we do every week. The biggest thing I look for is just the larger time frames. I'm not a big trader on the smaller frames unless I have an ideal range made up on the larger, and then the smaller day of is currently like holding at a certain level that I have on the larger. So I'll literally take say we're at like a major support zone at the bottom, and then on the larger frame we've bounced there over the last year 4 times and we've never broken below. I'll focus on that when it finally hits that on the day of, and I'll look for a push off that level. I'll add time to a contract. I'll size light to the point where if I'm wrong, that small size goes the $0 back. Like I lost 99% of that trade. I'm not emotional. I'm not crying like some people may. I'm not upset. I'm just content because I entered knowing if I'm wrong, I'm willing to lose this entire trade. If you oversize and one little wick on the downside for your call position, you're down 20%. I'm pretty sure you're going to get scared and want to sell out of that position only because your emotions are now in play. Then you also said, what's your confirmation to enter a trade? I like to focus on volume increasing, not just like, oh, volume's hitting. It's more so like buying pressure over selling pressure. You can't just look at candles. It's also important to like not read the tape, but just understand the flow of tape, like what orders are being filled, whether it's more buying than selling pressure. Is the chart holding and volume's low? So maybe there's more buyers than sellers, but if there's low volume and it's holding, most of the time people assume it's going to break on the downside, but you have to focus on the chart setup, the trends, and just the volume indication overall. Hello, I have taken many courses, including Rippy's, and I really can't understand the market. I always end up losing. So uh, I'm not sure if you're in the academy or not, which we do like the charting and the Thursday night classes, but the biggest thing I can say is losing, it's not really what you learn from people, it's what you take out of it and what you put into your practice. I mean, I can sit here and tell you what exactly I do, and it will make you money if you do it exactly, but everyone's emotions are different. It pulls you away from who you are. Your emotions will tell you, like, oh, this person said this, but I don't want to do that. That's not who I am. I can give you the blueprint, but you can't make money off my blueprint. You have to pick and choose and adjust to what makes you who you are as a person. Trading is all about personality. If you're not good at holding on to stuff long term, you probably shouldn't be a swing trader because a little bit of emotion, you're going to want to sell early. If you're good at holding stuff long term, you may not want to scalp because if you're down 20% in the first few minutes, you may want to sell, but long term, that trade could still be intact for you to make money on it. Is your stop loss based on the chart or just a percent or dollar amount? I'm not sure if that makes sense, but when I enter trades, I try to make sure that the dollar amount I am okay with risking aligns with the chart telling me to stop out. Some people exit before the chart because of the contract price. I was wondering how you place stops. Personally, I don't like the stop out when the chart isn't telling me to, but I'm at my risk amount. I'm wondering what your thought is on that. So This is one thing I try and tell people, and you'd be surprised how many people tell me, like, I'm not going to do that. And then sure enough, they come back to me a week or a month later. I should have listened. I messed up. Every trade I take, I size like I'm going to lose the whole thing. If my account is at, let's say, $10,000 and my daily risk is 5%, so I'm willing to risk $500 every day. If I want to make one trade on the day, I'll size 500. If it goes to zero, I hit my max loss on the day. That's how I control myself with that kind of thing. I use a stop loss if I oversize. If my risk is $100 loss on the day and I size $500, I'm risking a 20% loss on that. So I'm focused on where can I enter on the chart at a heavy support zone if I'm entering calls. If it breaks on the support that I know is heavy over the last few months or few weeks, I'm not worried about selling if it breaks below because I size for a 20% loss and I enter at the best possible situation where my risk is high. My risk is lower than my reward is going to be if I'm right. Because a 20% loss when you can possibly make 50 or 100% on the bounce, overall, if you hit those, say, 2 out of 5, those 2 wins will outweigh those other 3 losses. That's one thing a lot of people, they oversize, and a small loss is going to outweigh a big win on just one single contract. Are you going to be more futures? Oh, Alan, you said, are you going to be more future signals? Am I going to do signals? You mean like announce when I'm buying? If that's what you mean, currently I just teach, so I'm not really focused on signaling, but I do give as much advice as I can in the Discord, more so my charting and just my technical analysis to help people and guide them. Until I get the actual role of signaling, if I ever get that far, I don't want to put my personal entries out there just for the sake of the server and of the actual company. But I do push like charts. I say how I feel. I'm looking at this, but I won't say when I enter stuff. I try and give like, it's kind of like a map of what I'm doing without giving you the destination of where I'm going. I just want people to learn without me having to tell them what I'm doing. How long did it take for you to read tape with conviction? Um, so the time it takes to learn tape with conviction, it's not really the time it takes, but how much time you put in. When I first started reading tape, I was talking to Hassan a lot about it. Rippy God, if you don't know, that's his name. And he would tell me he would literally watch the tape during market hours and he'd record his session of his screen and he'd rewatch it at night. So he'd watch the market from 8 a.m. Eastern time to close at 4 p.m. He'd go get food, do whatever. He'd come back to his setup at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and he'd rewatch the whole market until 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning. And I did that for probably 3 to 4 months straight. And it was very irritating, draining, emotional. But where I'm at right now, I'm more than blessed of spending all that wasted time it felt like when I used to do that. Because now when I read tape, I just sit there and I know. I don't need to like decipher what's happening. I know the level. I know where the tape's coming in at. I know where the volume's entering. It's almost muscle memory at this point. And I would say with me putting in 14, 16 hours a day on this stuff, it probably took me about 6 to 7 months to fully get this to the point where I felt confident reading what I was seeing. What are you watching the remainder of the week? So I filter through the same stocks every week and I can name those real quick. And after this, I'll type them in the Discord. But the main stocks I watch one main stock from each sector, which that's like XLE, communications, which XLE is energy, communications, home and sales, which is real estate, communication, technology. I try and keep one stock from every sector. That way, like today, energy was down, but communications was up. I'm not going to trade calls on energy if I know the overall sector is down. I'm going to focus on puts for that. But if I see communication sector is green while SPY is red, I know QQ is going to be green because that's tech sector. I know Meta may be green. I know Google may be green. So I'm focused on that stuff. I watch American Airlines. I watch Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Moderna, Netflix, XOM, Ford, DraftKings, and then SPY and SPX are usually the same ones I go through every single day. Don't think watching the same stocks is boring because if you memorize a stock like the back of your hand, you're trading stuff that you know by memory. It's not like, oh, the level's here and it looks like it's going to go. Where is it really at? I can look at a stock and know off the price action of the share what's actually happening right now. If it's at a support zone, resistance, if the volume is more than it usually is on a daily basis, I know all of that just by looking now. If you only have $1,000, can you increase an amount?
Tell them
Millie,
what we did. Tell them what we did.
hang on, Coke. I'm trying to get through all these questions. I'm talking a little bit too much. Millie, you said if you only have $1,000, you can increase an amount. Oh, an account. So you're basically saying like, if I only have $1,000 in my account, am I able to make money off that? If that's what you mean, I'll speak on this real quick. It was sometime last year, and I think Coco is that's what he was talking about when he said that. So I've been helping Coco for a while now. We're like really close friends at this point. I've turned $1,000 accounts into 10,000 within 2.5 weeks before. I've turned in $100 account into $1,000 in a month and a half. Literally, it's all about how much can you risk and are your entries good? Is your reward higher than your risk? Is your risk minimal? So if you do lose, 5 losses will be outweighed by 1 win. It's all about the timing. I mean, you can trade 1 time a week, and that 1 win can outweigh 5 trades throughout the week that you scalped. If you wait for the best setup, you can grow in $1,000 account. You can grow in $100 account, but the smaller money you have in an account, the longer it may take for you to make money on it. And obviously, the more you size every position, you're risking more to lose, and that's going to set you back a lot. Because if you have $1,000 and you lose 50% of that in one day, to get that account back to 1,000, you need 100% account growth in one day. You lost 50%, now you need 100% growth. So sizing is very important if you want to grow an account like that. What platform do you read the tape on? I find TOS kind of messed up for tape reading, in my opinion. Dash Trader looks easy for me. So I I have an account on TOS. I've never charted on TOS. I never have read tape on TOS, but I do trade on there occasionally with my retirement account. Tape reading for Dash Trader, I've tried it, but the one thing I've noticed is it's expensive compared to other brokers that offer similar, if not just not as good data, which gives you the same like overall picture of what you're looking at. So I use Webull for my tape reading. Webull has time and sales in the order book for $1.99 a month, and then they also have the NBBO package, which basically gives you the order book and the like orders that are submitted but they're not filled yet. It's basically orders that are like with limits, basically the same thing as Dash Trader's book and everything. I use Webull because I'm familiar with it, and I also chart on Webull, so I have everything on one separate broker. Basically, everything is correlated. I have an account on Webull. I have an account on IBRK. I have a retirement on TOS. I have an account on some other things, but I chart and watch tape on Webull, and then I trade just on whatever I want on the day. That's how I read tape on. Coco said my 1K account is at 2K currently in 2 weeks, 100 a day and done. So I'm gonna just vent about this real quick, and I'll get to what Millie said just under that. So a lot of people, it's like I have this $1,000 account and I enter a position with $200 out of that 1,000 and I hit a 50% return. So you just made $100 only using 200 out of the 1,000. How bad do you really want to try and make more money after you just made $100 in a day? $100 out of 1,000, you just made 10% growth in one day. My personal bank does not give me 1% in a year. So if you are not content with 10% account growth in a day, you're going to be chasing stuff and eventually you're not going to hit and you're going to lose. You're going to lose everything. The biggest thing I've told Coco throughout our friendship is like literally if you have an excellent first trade, your entry was dead on, you only hit 5% though, but if your entry and everything was perfect, don't trade again. End on a mental breakthrough compared to an account breakthrough. If your mental is clear when you have that first trade and you're green, don't worry about trading the rest of the day. Just accept the fact that you did it. Like you literally made money and you're done. If you want to trade more, go for it, but know that your risk is literally like you're risking to lose money and you're done. Like you only use 200 out of 1,000, you're up $100. You don't want to focus on those huge things about like growth in a quick day. You want to look at the longevity, a year down the road, 5 years down the road. You don't want to focus on right now. If you get that money fast, I promise you, I've been there years ago. The money you get right now fast, you're going to lose it just as fast. You're going to oversize, think you're invincible. Just pay yourself if you have a big win. Don't keep that in the bank, I mean, in the trading account. Because in my personal opinion, you don't make money in stocks till you withdraw. It's not about, oh, my account went from 1,000 to 2,000. If you don't pay yourself that 1,000 you made, you have not made any money in the stock market. Withdraw it and pay yourself. Restart back to 1,000. How do you recommend me to start over? What do you recommend I study again? So I'm not a big advocate for paper trading. I think it's a waste of time unless you actually stick to rules, you size properly, you sell when you should, you don't hold because, oh, it's not real money. I can hold and just see what happens. Paper trade if you're disciplined, which that's one of the main things people never are. But if you want to actually start with real money or just knowledge in general, focus on the larger time frames and just chart. Like literally just chart and don't trade. Find a zone, mark it. When the stock hits that zone, see how it reacts. Watch the volume, watch how it moves up and down, watch the trends. If you use indicators, use some indicators to throw in there. Find your edge as your personality works with your life and not just trading. If you can't hold on to stuff, don't be a swinger, be a scalper. If you are really good at holding on to stuff, don't be a scalper, be a swing trader. You have to work with what your emotions are as a person. It makes it so much easier, I promise. Coco said, and once at 10K, you take 1K a day is 10%. Yeah, literally, if you have an $1,000 account and you make $100, that's the same thing as a 10K account making 1,000 a day. Same thing as a $100,000 account making 10,000 a day. Don't look at what you're making. Focus on the end goal. As that account grows, you'll make more money with the same percent gain. That's literally how it works. Money follows, percent gains correlate. It's the basics with business and money. Okay, I caught up on the questions, which is good. Perez, how you been doing? I know you've been here almost every time. I want to know if you have any questions or you're just here to absorb all this knowledge because you've been pretty consistent with showing up every time. I keep my eye on people. Don't worry. Absorbing. Good, bro. Good. If you want to hear certain stuff, don't be scared to type it because I want to stay here the whole hour if possible. I just want to make sure people that I see in here are good. New people that are in here, I hope you guys are doing good too. It's been a crazy week. Don't think if you're not making money or if you're red that you're failing. Like today, like this week has been difficult. I've just been very lucky to get where I'm at right now with my gains on the week. Small gains, take them, don't look back. Yeah, I got you. All your talking reinforces what I see. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Bro, crazy week. It hasn't been emotional for me because I'm just past that stage, but every once in a while I get a little freaked out with stuff I enter and I'm red a little bit, but it always works out when the zones hold like I figured they would. I think I'm up like 35% this week of my account right now, which that's not bad at all. It's actually pretty good. Do you know when to hold versus when to scout for the day? Today I was holding out for a bigger move on puts was green, but then SPY reversed hard. So Eddie, the biggest thing I can say about holding longer, zoom out on the chart. I don't know if you're looking at the 1 minute, the 2 minute, the 5 minute, the 15, zoom out to the 30 minute, the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, figure out where SPY currently was and see if like historically in this zone it has bounced for no reason or if it's just bounced in general. Usually the thing I do, if it's like a heavy zone and I'm only up 10%, I'll just take the money, not because I'm up and I'm happy or like, oh, I'm scared I'm going to lose. Historically off the chart without including any of my emotions, the chart has had a reaction and I don't want to deal with that because I wasn't present when that reaction happened back in what, 2006, 2010, 2015. I literally let the chart tell me what to do. That's all it is for me. If I buy puts at the top and the previous higher low is like contesting for support and it's not breaking on the downside and I'm up 15%, I'm not going to hold on thinking, oh, I'm going to wait and see if it finally dips from the sellers. I'm going to take my profit and just re-enter if it does push back up and form a lower high and then it finally does break through. Don't think you have to hold a position just because you want the big money on it. 1% account growth a day will literally make you so much money in 256 days, which is a year of trading. 1% account growth a day. That's all you need. Can you talk a bit about premiums? Um, I'll just talk about what I think about when I read that. So premiums on consolidation will destroy you. Don't try and hold on to a play in a chop market consolidation, up down in the same zone. Premiums are literally made to make you lose money. If the market does not move, premiums are made to make you lose money. I said that twice because people don't realize that. If a chart does not move, you're not going to make money. You're going to lose it. Even if the chart's not moving, you will lose money. You have to understand the Greeks, delta, gamma, theta, the IV, time decay. I mean, you need to know everything. The biggest thing I look for when stocks move heavily in one direction, the IV picks up and the price is not going to actually correlate with how much it really should cost in the moment. Because if it pushes, say the SPX, which is the SPY basically on the larger frame, SPX pushes, let's say $30, well, yeah, 30 points within a 5 minute time frame. If it sits there at the top after that major push, contracts will drop probably 20, 30% only because that move was people chasing. They're trying to fill at the ask. They're trying to buy at the ask. They want to catch the move and they're pushing the price on the contracts. Don't think you're going to miss something if you don't chase. A contract can sit like 5 points higher than where you originally wanted it, and it can be cheaper. You're not missing nothing. Like you literally will not miss anything if something runs without you. You have the next day, you have the next week, the next month, the next year. There's no rush. Is there anything specific you want me to talk about with premiums? I was kind of just talking about what's messed me up in the past before I realized it. Coco said, "How do you not take calls at the top slash puts at the bottom when the candles are larger to each side, which makes you think it will rip slash tank more?" So it's not really why do I take calls at the bottom? Why do I take puts at the top? It's more so historically, if I take calls at the top where it's rejected in the past, I'm basically putting myself at risk to lose money. The risk is higher that the stock reverses and rejects on the upside. So why would I get calls? I'd rather have a lighter size with puts, because if that move does reject where the rejection was in the past, I'll make more money with one contract than I would with a lot of contracts if it doesn't push the way I need it. And then vice versa. If we're at a heavy support zone at the bottom and people are saying, like, oh, we're going to flush, I'm going to buy puts, a slight green candle after you enter at the bottom, you're down 20%, 30% on SPX, on SPY, on some even like majority of contracts with Tesla, Amazon, Apple. I never buy puts at the bottom unless there's lower highs forming on the larger frame. Then I'll size light and just hold. I always size for zero. Eddie said, other times the move happens when you get out. I guess that's what runners are for. Is it fair to say small accounts shouldn't hold out for larger moves? So define smaller accounts for me while I explain a little bit. So when I think of smaller accounts, I'm focused on like $500 and less, $1,000 and less. You shouldn't be trading more than 10% of your account per position unless you have a risk tolerance that you're not emotional to like grasp onto. Because for me personally, if I have an $1,000 account, the most I will size is $500. But I'm realizing if I lose this whole thing, I'm down $500, which is 50% of my port. If I lose 25% of that $500, I'm risking just over $120. I know what's happening before I enter. I know what's happening before I get in. I figure this stuff out so that when I am wrong, if I am, I'm not emotional about it. I planned it and my mind told me like I can handle that loss if it happens. Leaving your runners is good, but say you have two contracts and each of them are $100 and your account's at 1,000. If you sell one at 10%, you just made $10 profit so far. If that one contract that you have left goes down 10%, you're break even on the trade. Me personally, when I have a small account, I sell everything unless I have like 20 plus contracts. But for that to happen, you have to play like DraftKings, American Airlines, Ford, Apple on a Thursday or Friday when the contracts are cheaper, Amazon on a Thursday or Friday. Like you can't trade Tesla. You can only afford one contract or two contracts if you size heavy. SPX is difficult. SPY is difficult. It's all about just sizing. I mean, for me, if I have less than five contracts, I'm getting all the way out. When I sell, I'm out all the way. I don't trim. I just don't want to risk it. I'm trying to build the account, not just build that account to like 2,000 in one day. I want $50 a day, $100 a day, 150 a day. I'm just trying to grow it slow. That's what I try and do. You talked about what I was confused about on things. Yeah, no problem. I mean, end of the day, like stock, it's all a game. It's all guessing. It's just historical probability. That's literally all this is. Like people call it gambling, but if you have an edge, like your risk is minimal, your reward is higher, it's not really gambling. Probability is in your favor. That's why it's hard for me to talk to people about this because I mean, people see you do it, and I've had this in the past with like homies and whatnot. Like they see you do something, it's like, bro, you could have lost this much. It's like, yeah, but my risk was that much. I literally was planning on losing that much if I was wrong. It's like that's why you journal. You want to write your emotions in a trade. Like if you entered a trade and you like your heart's pounding, you may be sweating, like you're just like, I should probably get out. I'm kind of scared. Write that in a journal. I sized $200 on my $1,000 account. I was nervous. I cannot size $200 until I get better. I can't size $100 until I get better. I didn't sell at 20% and I knew I should have, but then I went red on the trade. I need to sell at 20% moving forward. Like you need to write down how you feel before, during, and after a trade. Like I have notebooks full. Notebooks are full of stuff where I just write my feelings. Can you talk about implied volatility, IV, and you use that to select strike prices? So I'm trying to think of a simple way to explain this. So IV, for people that don't know, it's basically like an implied move, like what the stock is going to do if it has that gap fill, basically. So what I usually do, I go off the chart and I try and like figure out like, oh, if this stock drops $1 a share, its implied volatility move was so on, let's say $4 a share. That drop at open made it go down $1. So now the implied move is $5 on the upside, $3 on the downside. I'm focused on like the overall like, okay, it dropped. Calls are obviously going to be higher reward than risk because now at this point, there's less of a chance that it goes down than it will go up. There's a higher chance it bounces back if it's at a support zone. If we push on like at open, I'm focused on, okay, IV's pushing on the calls. Calls are going to be expensive. People are going to be selling puts. Puts may be cheaper, and yes, they will be because the price of the stock is higher than when it first started. I mean, I don't really use that term with what I do. I more so calculate stuff with the delta and the gamma most. Like if the chart's at a zone, I'll look at the contract chart and try and correlate the two charts of the actual stock chart and the option chart that I'm looking at for the premium. And I'll figure out like, okay, if this rejection hits, I can make a 1.2 entry on a contract and I can sell at 1.50 if it fills that gap on the downside. I'll try and calculate this stuff before I enter. So I know literally like from point A to point B to point C what could happen if I'm right or wrong. I try and plan everything in my head. That's why I never enter like, oh, emotions hit. And I'm like, I got to get in quick. Right away, I'm thinking like, did I figure out how much I could lose if I enter here? Did I figure out how much I can make and how much it will keep going upside if I enter here? And once you start thinking about that, you don't even want to enter anymore because now you're questioning like, do I really want to enter here? The fear and emotion of missing out is totally out of the picture at that point. And that's one thing I journal about for myself. So any more topics you guys got? We're closing in on about the last 20 minutes, it looks like. I mean, how do you guys feel like just where you're at in your journey? Like, I know someone asked me, like, how much do you withdraw every week? How much do you pay yourself? The real question is, if you grow an account, can you still manage size and light if even though you have more money to work with? Can you withstand only using $2,000 out of a $5,000 account every day and not having to touch that 3,000 to trade with? Usually, if you have like, oh, I have 2,000 left I can trade with, I have to get a trade in before market closes. You should probably pay yourself $2,000 and withdraw that money and then just run your account back up. I mean, the more money you have, the more you can lose. That's just the way of life. That's just how it is. A lot of people think like, oh, I have more money, I can make more money. Yeah, you can also lose more money. That's why I usually reset my accounts weekly, if not bi-weekly. Let me make sure I didn't skip any questions. Yeah, until people, oh, Rocky, you're good, bro. You got any questions you want? Do you use the VIX? Eddie, so I don't. I mean, I think you were here when I did I showed my screen for charting, like what I use when I trade. I don't have the VIX pulled up 24/7 only because the idea of the VIX is the complete opposite of when the SPY moves. If SPY and SPX go down, the VIX goes up, obviously. I mean, it's the velocity index. So I'll peep it just to see like, oh, it gapped up this much. Are we hitting a resistance zone on the VIX? Are we hitting a supply zone on the VIX upside, downside? I try and use it, but I'm not going to like say, oh, I use it every day because I'm not going to lie to you guys. I use it when I feel I need to. So maybe once a week, once a month, I'll peep it on my watch list. And the AM is good, right? Explain what you mean, Perez. Rocky. So I was talking to Jarvis. He doesn't want me to talk about tax stuff only because a professional should deal with that with you. So I sadly do not want to touch on that topic. So I apologize. I do recommend reaching out to someone or just looking up YouTube videos on it because I don't want to speak on stuff that I know from my personal, like taxes, my personal opinion, but I don't want to speak on it for other people. And hopefully you understand that. Yeah, definitely, man. Let me know how your week's going. I saw you withdraw for the first time in a while. I want to know how that felt for you. Perez basically check to see where VIX. Yeah, so for me with VIX, I'll usually check in the morning because usually like if SPY dumps in the morning, I know right away VIX is going upside. But if I peep the VIX and it's not moving upside and SPY's tanking, I get kind of skeptical. Like, do I really want to trade right now if the velocity index is not moving, but SPY is tanking? Like, there's something going on. So that's the biggest thing I peep because I have VIX on a watch list. I have a watch list, which I don't know if you'll be able to see if I put this on my phone. I'll see if it pops up. Give me 1 second. I literally have a watch list that gives me. I have Bitcoin on it, like crypto. I have the S&P. I have the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, the QQQ. Then I have uranium ETF. I had the VIX, and then I have every single sector on the market. Yeah, it's kind of blurry. I literally have like this one watch list just with indexes and the overall market. I look at this every time I log onto my phone to trade or just look at charts on my phone. I see that instantly. So I know right away, like, oh, Bitcoin's down, but the overall market's up. That's kind of weird. Oh, the VIX is down, but SPY's down too. That's kind of weird. So I do peep it, but I don't like actually chart it every day with the VIX at least. Yeah, it gives you caution. I know I mean, me personally, if spy like today, the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones, no, the Nasdaq finished green on the day. Spy and Dow Jones were red on the day. I thought that was really weird because the SPX is full of like SPX is obviously full with companies Apple, Amazon, Netflix, no, not Netflix, Nvidia, Tesla. But if you look at those stocks, like Apple was green on the day. Amazon was massively green on the day, but the overall SPX index was red. Like that's kind of weird to me. So I'm going to be watching that tomorrow just to see like what's really going on. Could Amazon pull back? Yeah, bro. Netflix is that's my baby right there. That's one of my favorite stocks. I know Coco just heard me say that too. Netflix is one of the main stuff I watch every day, not just the actual TV show, but the stock. Yeah, I know I tried to trade Netflix yesterday and I was a little early on the calls, but I still made money on it. So overall, I made money on Netflix, but today was the move for the calls. I wish I would have just swung overnight or something. Rocky, I'm going to read what you said, buddy. He said, yes, yesterday I withdrew 700 and today 500. Opened a separate account only for profits. That account is now at 1.2 thousand. I just felt like a boss after I transferred. But jokes apart, I'm trying to take profit when it hits 10, 20% and not look at my phone. I feel happy and more disciplined. Yeah, bro. The biggest thing I'll tell you with that, get used to paying yourself to the point where you almost have to do it. Even if you're only up 100 on the week, you're going to withdraw $100. I mean, like you weren't here earlier when I said this, but like you don't make money in the stock market until you withdraw to your bank account. If you flip your trading account from 1,000 to 2,000, you personally have not made any actual money. Once you withdraw, that feeling you get of like I just paid myself with stocks, it's a different feeling that you just can't explain. And soon you'll get to 2,000 a week, 4,000, 10,000. At that point, you're just like it's a blessing.
That 298 level on Netflix today, man.
I know I
Woo!
told you 298 when we broke out, pulled back, took off.
Woo! Talk to me. Nice.
Eddie said, how often do you play off the VWAP? So when I enter a trade for a swing and we're pushing above VWAP, I'll look for a pullback on the VWAP for certain stocks. I mean, I'm not too big on, I don't watch the VWAP with Netflix very often. I do watch it with Amazon, Apple, Tesla, um, and SPY mostly. And when I do use that, I mean, I'll use it for strength. If there's volume pressure hitting the VWAP and we break under VWAP later in the day, I'll get puts when we like say we break below VWAP later in the day after holding it. That pullback to now resistance where the VWAP is, I'll get puts when it rejects VWAP again on the downside. So I kind of wait for the move to happen and then I go off of it. That's what I do. Rocky said, I learned it the hard way. That I have to withdraw, and thanks to you, bro. Yeah, definitely, bro. I know that conversation helped you, but definitely pay yourself. Even if you're up $50 in a week, pay yourself $50. Hopefully that's a tank of gas for you. I know it is for me. Yeah. Perez, I recommend it. Just when you try new stuff you haven't done before, either like in your head say, oh, I would have entered here at this price, or size extremely light when you first try new things. Don't size how you usually do with your strategy. Just make sure you learn before you put a lot of money in. And don't think like, oh, it didn't work 5 times when I first tried it. Sometimes you lose a lot because it just doesn't work out. The setup has to have a lot of back tests before you can like finally say like this is not going to work. I can't do this. So don't think if you lose doing this the first 2 times, like, oh, I don't know what this dude was saying. Like, it's not working for me. It doesn't work for me every time. It just puts risk minimal and reward is higher. If I get puts on a rejection on the upside at the VWAP and we break above, I'll just sell right away. Like, I mean, it's that simple. That's my risk. My reward is that, oh, it rejected. Let's see how low this goes. Are lower lows forming? Is it breaking support below it? I just play off it. That's all I do. Just be smart with it. I mean, I know you're smart. Just don't get overhyped. Don't let the wins get to you. If it works every time, don't size heavy because you won the first time. Get a background with it and then slowly do your thing as you go on with it. Rocky, I'm very persistent that I learn option trading rather than I just blindly follow alerts because even if I took profits or loss, I want to understand why I lost and gained. In that aspect, I want to know how do you prefer yourself during pre-market? How do you prepare yourself during pre-market? So this may sound weird for a few people that may hear this. I chart the day before and I don't look at pre-market until like 9 o'clock the next day, Eastern time. Eastern time, 9 a.m. 30 minutes before market open, I'll start looking at pre-market. And the only reason I do that is because usually my charts, they are pretty good going in the pre-market the next day where like a level is going to be the pre-market high that I did. And then the pre-market low is going to be another level that I had, or at least like in that zone. So like literally when I do things, I'll chart the day before because then pre-market, I have no emotions on the day of yet. I'm charting off historical only before I see pre-market movement, before I see a pump in pre-market. A lot of people, when they see green candles in pre-market on SPY, it's like, oh, we're going to send when market opens. Like we're just going to keep going. I'm focused on, okay, the day before this happened at this area. A week before this happened at this area. I don't assume anything when I trade. So like preparing for me, I mean, I literally chart the night before every time. Every time the night before, I'll rechart stuff usually around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. And then I'll start doing trades just after lunch hours. My best trades are always after lunch hours. I'm able to see the day of the movement. I can see where the volume's fading off or increasing. I know where it's been respectful with VWAP, zones, any of that stuff. Me personally, my trades are always best later in the day. I don't usually trade open, but if the setup's there and I know, I'll size light. That's usually what I do. Coco said, always try to check the chart. Oh, geez. Always try to check the chart before you take the signal blindly. I highly agree with that. If someone signals something, I recommend trying to look at the chart before you just enter, because 9 times out of 10, that contract that someone alerts, it's going to be green by the time you even enter where they enter. So don't think it's in a rush. Like people alert multiple times a day. You're not going to miss anything. Hit rates are high for a reason. Size light every signal and you'll be fine in the long term. It's hard to do times. Like it's hard to do times, but you should always try to see what they're seeing, even if it's a quick 1-2 second glance. I used to enter blindly in size heavy and would get smoked. When it's SPX, I take like one contract only unless it's under $200 a contract, 2.00. Yeah, I know. I've been telling Coco this a lot, but literally, like, you're not going to learn until you actually execute. Like, you can't just like say, Coco, my bad for talking about this, but you may need this again. Don't enter a contract and then get pissed off when you're wrong. Don't miss a contract and it goes in your favor that you wanted and then think, I should have entered. This is stupid. If you don't execute for a win or a loss, you're never going to grow as a trader. There's no such thing as a loss if you enter where your plan said to enter. If you enter where you like know that's your strategy and you lose, it's not a loss. It just did not work out that one time. People get red on the day and think I did horrible. Like, no, did you execute correctly? Did you stop loss when you were supposed to? Did you trim in profits? If you followed your plan and you were red on the day, it's not a loss. Number wise, it's a loss, but your mental is fine. You did everything you were supposed to. You suggest charting on a black screen if not one that you add on from previous days. So, I mean, when I chart, I don't have a lot of zones. And I know people can vouch for me that when they see my charts, when I post them in the Discord, I'll literally have like 4 or 5 zones and that's it. Like I play heavy zones. I don't chart every single zone within like a $5 increment on Tesla. I don't chart every zone within a $2 share price on Amazon. I don't chart every zone within a 50-point radius on SPX. I'm focused on the major move and the major rejects. If I trade one time a week, that's it. If I trade one time a day, that's it. I just wait for those big zones. That's all I do. My emotions are gone when I do that. And Coco was just saying your emotions aren't there. You got to trust them, not yourself. It's hard and I'm emotional, but you got to trust them sometimes and just try to make sure it aligns. I be second guessing all the time. Then I get depressed that I don't execute. But yeah, if you don't execute and a trade goes your way, don't feel bad. And if you don't execute and a trade doesn't go your way, don't think, oh, I can't enter now because I originally wanted it 2.00. Now it's 1.50. You're paying
Bro,
less.
tell them how emotional I am, man. Go ahead.
No, people know when they see you talk. But yeah, Coco and me, we have arguments. Well, it's not even arguments because we agree to disagree. But he has to hear the tough love. Like I care about the dude. I care about everyone that I
Bro,
want to teach.
plain and simple. I'll see a play, I won't take it, and then it'll hit. I feel worse not taking it than I would taking it and the play loses. So I feel worse when I don't take it versus when I do take it and it loses. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like literally. I mean, me and him have this conversation in the Discord, like through text all the time. Like he'll not enter a play and it goes his way, and he'll be more upset than the fact that he takes a play and it goes red. He's upset about missing than he is about executing for the first time and losing on the trade, even though he cuts early and doesn't lose a lot. And I'm gonna move past this and answer these other questions. We got about 8 more minutes left. So Rocky said, "What's the biggest position you have taken in terms of money involved? And tell us your mindset. Then just want to know how you dealt with that trade." Man, bro, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you the worst trade I've ever had in my trading career because that's the only thing that teaches you. Big wins don't teach you nothing. That's just how I feel. So my biggest loss in a day, well, my biggest loss in a trade was $14,000. This was about a year and a half ago. Literally the entire trade, like I will not forget this day because like this is what makes me not oversized when I think I'm right. The whole trade, even before entering, I knew I shouldn't do it. But my biggest fear was not catching the move that could have happened. So I entered this trade, heart pounding, I'm sweating, my hands are shaking. I could barely hold my phone when I did it. I'm on the computer just watching this. Literally, the ever since like right when I entered, went straight down. I never cut. I never cut. Kept going down. I never cut. And I'd sit there like, okay, I'm down 50%. It just bounced back to 10% loss. I could sell here for a 10% loss and be fine. Kept holding it. Ended up expiring worthless, bro. Whole 14,000 gone within 8 hours. The whole position. That one trade taught me literally don't oversize, don't hold because you want money. And literally, like cutting a position is not a loss. You're literally saving capital. If you cut early, you're saving capital. You're not losing no money. You're just saving what you could have lost. That's how I look at it. If you ever enter a trade, and this is going off like, how do you deal with the trade? If you ever enter any trade and you're scared, just sell, get out, don't hold it. If you're ever in, like, if you're entering with $100 on a $10,000 account and you're scared, just get out because you can't deal with losing $100 out of 10,000. If you can enter $1,000 on a $1,000 account and not give one like care, hold it, go ahead. But just realize you're losing the whole thousand if you are not right. That's all you have to realize. Rocky said, "How long did it take you to recover from that loss?" It's 14K, brother. Oh yeah, bro. Trust me, I know. The biggest thing that I learned after that is like money is literally just like nothing. Money can be gone and it's not going to change nothing. Obviously, people live for money, they die for it. But when I lost that 14, the day of, it was just like, I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. It wasn't even the fact like, damn, I lost $14,000. It was the fact that like, why did I buy in? Why did I sell? Why did I not sell early? Why did I hold the zero? Why did I even do this? I didn't even care about the money after I lost the actual money. At that point, it was just like, what do I have to do to not make this happen again? And ever since that day, my biggest loss has probably been like $1,000, 2,000. Bro, Coco can tell you this. I lost 2,000 in one trade. And I was just like, damn, okay, I'll see you tomorrow, bro. Like I'm happy about it, laughing about it because I sized to lose $2,000. Like, yeah, he just said this dude has no emotion. I literally have no emotions with anything in life, bro. Certain things I do, but when it comes to money, it's just money. I got a big heart. Don't think I'm just like some robot. If you get on the right topic with me, I'm all there. But overall, I'm just chill. I've lost a lot throughout this journey, so I'm kind of just relaxing. I just want to help people. That's really all this is. Like if you get depressed over losing a lot of money, that was literally your whole life savings. I lost 14,000, but it wasn't all my money at the time. It was just a major loss that I literally should not have done. I could have easily sold for a $4,000 loss, a $5,000 loss. I could have sold for $10,000 loss and had 4,000 still. But my emotions were telling me like I'd rather go to zero than to make money on this trade. Like at that point, I just didn't care. And I knew before entering, I should not do this. I mean, it took me probably months to get over it, but right away, it was just like, okay, how can I fix this? And I still think about that day. Like, what if I never made that mistake? Where would I be at? But at this point where I'm at, like, I never thought I'd be in this position right now. I never thought I'd be where I'm at right now. And maybe that $14,000 loss is what got me here. You never know. Coco said he gave me that tough love, but I need it because I'm emotional. Yeah, Coco's emotional. There's nothing wrong with being emotional, but when you let it come in between you and money and trading stocks, like you're not going to win long term. Thanks for the chat. Great info. This is good to hear. I need it. Everyone preaches mindset is key, hard to overcome, but it takes time. Yeah, trading is difficult, man. I mean, I'm not going to say it's picture perfect. Like you see people make 50,000 in a day. You don't know what it took for them to get to that point. You don't know how much losses they had leading up to it. You don't know how many years it took them to get there, how many late nights of just tears and like losing people. I mean, the journey's hard, but if you want it that bad, it's going to happen. Just focus on the growth. Don't focus on the reward. Small growth in the journey. The journey is amazing. The process is amazing. If you hate the journey, you're not going to like the destination because there's always going to be a next step, next step. Literally every day I wake up and I'm just blessed. Wherever I end up in a year from now, okay, cool. But I'm focused on every day in and out. That's it. I just live in the moment. We're winding down to the few last minutes. So anyone with questions, concerns, thankful for this session, whatever it could be. Thanks, Breezy, for your time. See you tomorrow. Focus on the growth. Nice. Yeah, always focus on the growth, man. Family life, friendships, relationships. Focus on the growth, not just like, oh, I want you right now. Like people have to grow to become who they are. You have to grow in trading to become who you are. Like you have to lose, you have to win. Don't focus on just one side of the story. I mean, it's a beautiful journey, man. Losing is beautiful when you get to that mindset. Yeah, definitely. You're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, Rocky, if you're, I don't know if you're still here, but hey, kill it this week and be cautious. We're chilling at a very, very rough area right now in the charts. Don't think you have to make money. You're up amazing these past few days. Don't think you have to make money. Relax. I don't know what you do for your like life, but just enjoy what you're doing. Don't let money make you that like butthurt. Just keep doing this patience thing. Withdraw. A month from now, a week from now, a year from now, you're gonna be killing it, man. You already are. Thanks, brother, for all this. You just are helping so many of us. You're making an impact. Please be continuing this love, brother. Yeah, love, man, love. Yeah, you're welcome, Eddie. And any questions you guys got, drop them in the chat. I'll get back to you literally like ASAP. I'm just gonna be relaxing, talking to people after this. I gotta call a few people too. We'll call one person. But yeah, I appreciate each one of you for taking time out of here. Tomorrow, Thursday night class, same time as this, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. It's going to be about emotions and risk. So if you need help with that, I recommend being here because if you ask questions in the moment, I'll be on that hot streak like I'm with some other people, I hope. And if I'm in the moment talking about this, you're going to feel it. I'm not just saying this because I've been through it. I just want you to not go through what I went through. Hopefully, you can avoid all this long time it took to be successful, like it was for me. But yeah, any last questions, statements? If not, I appreciate you guys for this. Appreciate your time. And I'm definitely thankful that people came in today for this. This kind of stuff matters. These extra hours matter. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good rest of your night. I'm not seeing anyone asking stuff. So good luck this week. Be smart. Don't do anything I want to do. Just be patient and let the plays come to you. I'll see you guys. What's this first?